it?
Right. There's 6 of them, right?
Let's see.
Good morning.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before we begin today's town board meeting, my colleagues and I would like to recognize the New York State League of Women Voters, who 1 week from today will be celebrating its 100th anniversary. Representing the League today to accept a citation and proclamation from the town of Hempstead are Barbara Epstein, Ruth Jones, Paula Bloom, Pat Meadows, Liz Boylan, and our own League of Women Voters member, Senior Councilwoman Dorothy Gooseby. Pioneers during the women's suffrage movement, the League has established itself as a leading advocate for voting rights for all Americans. By remaining nonpartisan, the League is able to extend its reach of informing and educating the public on the critical issues that are affecting their communities. On behalf of the town of Hempstead, congratulations on achieving this historic milestone. We are grateful for your service to our community and to our state. Thank you very much, ladies. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this regularly scheduled town board meeting. For those of you who have never attended a meeting before, we will first have public hearings followed by an administrative calendar. There are meeting agendas available in the rear of the pavilion. If you'd like to be heard on any matter, please fill out a slip and hand it to the public safety officer, and they will call you up to be heard during the meeting. After the town board meeting is adjourned, the town board will follow our custom and remain in session to hear any residents who would like to be heard during public comment. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Supervisor Gillen?
Here.
Councilman Blakeman? Here. Councilman Diaz-Posito? I'm here. Councilman Dunn? Here. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Here.
Councilman Muscarella?
Here.
Okay, we just celebrated Veterans Day, and we have our own veteran here on the town board, so I'd ask Councilman Dunn to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All rise, face the American flag, place your right hand over your heart, and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, will you please call our first public hearing?
Proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Belmore near Island Park and Oceanside.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the local law adopted.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman? Councilman Diaz-Bazito? Councilman Dunn? Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Madam Clerk, will you please call our next public hearing?
Proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Elmont, Franklin Square, Merrick, Oceanside, and near Rockville Center.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and that the local law be adopted. I second.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman?
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito? Councilman Dunn? Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Madam Clerk, will you call our next public hearing, please?
Proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Belmore, East Meadow, and Seaford.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the item be adopted. Second.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman? Councilman Diaz-Bazito? Councilman Dunn? Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Madam Clerk, please call our next public hearing.
Proposed local law entitled Intentional Release of Balloons Prohibited in order to reduce the negative impact that balloons have on the environment by discouraging the intentional release of balloons.
Okay, I have a number of slips on this public hearing. The first is from George Povel. George, am I saying that right? George? Oh.
Good morning, town board members and supervisor. Thank you for having this hearing today. Just wanted to let you know that our group, All Our Energy, has spoken to numerous members of the public of the past few months. I have with me approximately 745 petition signatures to support some kind of action on intentional balloon releases. There's no reason for it. I can give you those. I want to show you, we've been working with the town to do beach cleanups. And it's just something that we do as a volunteer, something that we do to help the environment. We cleaned Lido Beach West on October 6th, and here's just the balloons that we got from that day. So that was just from one beach in one day that about 45 people cleaned up. It did not include us going into the dunes, which are a huge filter. That's for the town workers to do, and the dunes are off limits. So there's much more in there that they were probably responsible for taking care of. And we don't trample on the town law to not go into the dunes. So this is something that does have some widespread support. We're not a big group. We're mostly all volunteers. This is just an issue that I really think you could make a huge difference to protect the beaches that we have as part of one of the beautiful things that this town has to offer for all of our community and our residents. So this is also a photograph just to show you what can happen. This is from not from one of our beaches, but this is a tern being rescued by Fire Island officers that had gotten entangled in some of the balloon strings there in that one instance. So this is obviously not just a town of Hempstead issue, and we are pushing for other municipalities to consider this, but town of Hempstead really could be right out in front of this issue, just like Long Beach has and East Hampton has, because you really have a lot of beaches and a lot of waterfront that is yours to protect. So we're asking you to please consider taking up this motion and passing it today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Supervisor, if I may, I'd like to offer an amendment to the proposed local law, just prior to anyone else speaking, so they could speak on the amendments. And with that said, I want to thank you, sir, for your cleanups in the town of Hempstead and across Long Island. And I think that the issue with the balloons is something that needs to be tackled. But I do think that it's a work in progress. So I'd like to move to amend the proposed local law from no person to no person 18 or older, and to amend the penalty section to eliminate jail time and reduce the fine from 500 to 100. And like I said, this is just an amendment to this. If it's something that we see is working or not working, we can move forward and make changes in the future.
And Councilman, I just wanted to ask, this is to address the concern that a child might run afoul of the law. Is that right, Councilman?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll take a vote now on the amendment. Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman? Aye. Councilman Diaz-Pizito? Aye. Councilman Dunn? Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby? Aye. Councilman Muscarella?
Abstain.
Okay, we have a slip also from Matt Gore or Gove.
This is going to be a hand up. You can read it. I have a hand up. I read that. It's no objection by me, but just read the caption. Okay.
That's what I call the administrator.
All right, good morning. Thanks for talking about this topic today.
Sorry, if you would just state your name and where you live for the record, please.
My name is Matt Gove, G-O-V-E, and I live in Brooklyn, so thanks for having me. I'm from the Surfrider Foundation. We have a bunch of people in the area, a lot of people out in Long Beach, in the town of Hempstead that love the beach, and like George, they do a lot of beach cleanups and they find a lot of balloons. So they've been asking us to help them pass some laws to slow down all this balloon pollution. And it's an important topic. You might not have seen one of these balloon releases, but they're apparently pretty common if you just Google balloon release. A lot of times at funerals, at memorial services, they'll release 100 balloons. So it's something that does happen, and I think it's mostly just people don't know. They're like, oh, this isn't littering. This is nice. It's a nice event. We're going to let the balloon go, but I don't think they know that what comes up comes down, and it does end up putting litter on our beaches, and animals actually eat them thinking they're jellyfish or something else, and then they can choke. There's also the issue of Mylar balloons. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mylar balloons. They're the shiny ones, and they can cause power outages. Basically, utility people are worried about squirrels and Mylar balloons because they're conductive. If they hit, they can cause a power outage. What else? Yeah, I see the amendment you made. I mean, we're definitely not talking about arresting kids. That's a kid that lets one go. That's not it's these organized events where people do it on purpose. We also just started doing some petitions. We have about 350 people that signed our petition just at a couple of public events. So we've got some folks on board, and we're part of with George and his group, All Our Energy. There's about 12 groups in total that signed a letter that was sent in earlier this year asking for this to happen. So thanks for thinking about it, and I hope we can pass it.
Thank you, sir. And if you and Mr. Povak do have copies of those petitions, it would be helpful if you could just hand them up and make them part of the record.
Is there a way to do that?
You can hand them right to Ms. Hanson right here, or if you don't have them with you today, you can submit them after the fact to the clerk's office. Thank you.
Can I just ask the clerk to get copies of those for all the council members? Thank you.
Next, we have Liz Mosman.
Yes, I'm Liz Mosman, and I just wanted to add I'm a member of All of Our Energy, so I help in the cleanups, and I have some photos here too to submit that I took a walk later in October, and again, there's evidence of these balloons, you know, still on the beach after the summer. And I think the amendment makes sense with children. I'm a former teacher, and I think perhaps, too, we can work with the schools to start to, you know, make children and, you know, through the science programs, you know, environmental programs more aware of, you know, how balloons can impact our environment, and come up with maybe more creative ways of celebrating, you know, events without using balloons. So, you know, start working, you know, with the school districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mosman. Karen Zilber.
Hello, my name is Karen Zilber. I'm from Kings Park, and I'm also a volunteer for All Our Energy, and I want to thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'm here today to speak in support of the proposed new law to prohibit the intentional release of balloons. Although we all know that balloons can be fun to use in a celebration, we now also know that the release of balloons can be dangerous for our wildlife, killing birds and marine animals. Balloons are bright and colorful, and animals are attracted to them, thinking they're food. They can try to consume them or accidentally become tangled up in the strings, either of which can cause injury or death. They also travel farther than we think and litter our streets and our beaches and pollute our waterways. Moreover, at any given release, thousands of balloons can be sent up to the sky. As one example, the Clemson Tigers of South Carolina, college football champions in 2016, last year discontinued their practice of releasing 10,000 orange balloons every game due to the pressure from the College's Sustainability Commission. Although we know that these laws may be hard to enforce, we also know that by enacting these laws, we send a message to organizations, corporations, and individuals that intentional balloon releases should be avoided when planning an event. Currently, we depend upon the good intentions of people, and unfortunately, there are those who do not find this issue important. However, with the injection of media and public sharing of every event through Facebook and other mechanisms, the odds are that enforcement will become easier. Nowadays, all public behavior tends to be recorded and disseminated widely by individuals taking videos or pictures with their phones. So this may perhaps make event planners more unwilling to put their intransigence on public display. You also would not be the first municipality to make such a law. California, Connecticut, Florida, Tennessee, and Virginia all have enacted laws against intentional balloon releases, and other states have introduced bills limiting the number of balloons allowed to be released. There are also laws in municipalities in the UK and Australia banning balloon releases. I urge you to pass this law, and in so doing, join other states and municipalities to work for a cleaner, safer, and better environment for all.
Thank you, ma'am. Joanne Moore.
Hi, I'm Joanne Moore. I'm also a member of All Our Energy. And as you know, we're a nonprofit 501c3 organization based in Point Lookout. So we are an environmental advocacy organization with a focus on education and public outreach. We are asking you to support a ban on intentional balloon releases similar to the law passed in Suffolk County and Long Beach. I want to say this is not a partisan issue, just as animal cruelty is not a partisan issue. Our wildlife suffers from being caught in the ribbons of the balloons, as you could see, and sea mammals will ingest the balloons, mistaking them from jellyfish and other edible resources, which can result in intestinal blockages, malnutrition, and possibly a painful death. Our oceans and beaches, streets, parks, and streams are being polluted by these balloons, which will never, ever decompose. Also, a ban on intentional balloon releases will save the town of Hempstead money. These balloons will all eventually end up in the environment. Many will get stuck in sewer drains, clogging them and thereby increasing the chance of flooding after a storm. So not only is taxpayer money going towards cleaning the storm drains, but citizens need to contend with all the problems that occur when our streets are flooded. And I want to just say that laws and regulations are not a bad thing. If a town does not pass a law, such as the banning of intentional balloon releases, I, as an average citizen, will continue to believe that it can't be all that bad because the town of Hempstead says it is okay to do this. That's what I would think, because there's no law in place saying it's not okay. So please let everyone know that it's not okay by passing a ban. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Joseph Varon?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joseph Varone, and I am a resident of West Hempstead, right here. I am also the past president of the New York State Marine Educators Association. I'm sorry.
Don't forget the groceries.
And I am a current volunteer for the Long Island chapter of Food and Water Action, and I'm a retired New York State educator for 36 years. I am here representing some very special Long Island constituents, our sea turtles, dolphins, seals, whales, seagulls and terns, and a variety of other seabirds. Unfortunately, because of transportation issues, they could not be here today to testify. Too often, the intentional release of balloons has a devastating and deadly impact on those creatures. Mistaking these deflated balloons as floating jellyfish and other natural delights, these creatures eat them. Tragically, they get impacted in their digestive systems where they cannot excrete them, causing them to die very painful deaths. Such intentional balloon releases are not necessary for groups to have a wonderful event, but they leave a trail of death behind and should be eliminated. We are not really talking here about a child who releases a balloon. We're talking about colleges and football teams and high school teams and massive events where they intentionally release a large amount of balloons. And that's what we're asking that the town of Hempstead prohibit. And we ask you to do this. We have a responsibility for our citizens, but we also have a responsibility for the beautiful creatures that live around our island. And we ask you to take this bill seriously, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I do not have any other slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard? Yes?
Diane Madden, Hempstead. Just a special thank you to All Our Energy. I am, as everyone knows, a huge fan of advocates. And if not for them, we probably wouldn't be here talking about this today. And if not for that photograph of the supervisor, which, talk about a negative that turned into a positive, I am glad that hopefully the board will pass this, get it done, protect our sea life. No negative reflection on Camp Anchor. I think they do the most amazing work. And I think they were misguided into believing that balloons are actually biodegradable. And once again, congratulations, advocates, because if not for them, these things really would not get accomplished as they haven't in the past. And I thank them for that. Have a great day, and I encourage you to pass this even as amended. It's progress, and that's what we need in Hempstead, especially for the sea life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Madden. Is there anybody else?
Very sorry. To take it a step further, I had a thought. I know that there are rules posted in, the beach areas. Is it possible, providing this passes, to include that on these signs at our beaches about the law prohibiting the intentional release?
That's something we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to be heard on this public hearing?
Rita J. Merriday, Baldwin resident, and I'm also a member of Long Island Clean Air and Water. I support this legislation and as amended, and I'm hopeful that the information will be disseminated, as was mentioned earlier, not in a partisan format, but for a community benefit. And I'm also just concerned with regard to how we can possibly, I guess, as the previous speaker, if we can turn this situation into something that can be positive, because I mean, we have communities and we have constituencies that need something in some format in which they can celebrate. We need to have something. So I am hoping that through this, we can use this as an opportunity to provide some, let's say, healthy and constructive alternatives to provide celebrations for moments that we need to celebrate, or the moments that we need to provide recognition for memorials or other services that this balloon demonstration had been used for. So I'm definitely in support of this. Just again, concerned with regard to the other pending issues in our community in terms of the contamination of our water systems, that particularly in this season with the need for leaf cleanings and things of that nature, that we look at this from a constructive and comprehensive format. There are a number of things that are contaminating our waterways. There are a number of things that are jeopardizing not only our sea life, but our residents as well. So if we can look at, again, making this a broad stroke and to make it comprehensive and to, as I said, expand and provide alternatives for celebrations, recognitions, and memorials, because sometimes, and particularly right now, everyone needs to have some kind of hope, and we need something to hold on to, and we need to have something to mark significant moments, whether it's a celebration or just a remembrance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Merriday. Is there anybody else who'd like to be heard on this public hearing? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the local law adopted as amended.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman?
Yes, I would just like to say that there has been a renaissance in my district of wildlife returning in the Atlantic beaches, throughout the 5 towns, in Valley Stream, Franklin Square, the streams that run through it. And I vote with the whales, the seals, and the dolphins. I vote aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito?
Aye.
Councilman Dunn?
Thank you, Councilman Diaz-Bazito, for your amendments. That makes it very easy to vote aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
I abstain.
Okay, Madam Clerk, will you call our next public hearing, please?
Proposed contract for furnishing fire protection services in the Rec Lead Fire Protection District, Incorporated Village of Island Park.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman?
Aye.
Councilman Dunn?
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye.
Just for full disclosure, I recused myself from that vote because I am a member of the Island Park Fire Department.
All right, Madam Clerk, will you call the next public hearing, please?
Application of 135F Realty Corp. to modify an existing GSS approval TBR 420-1989 and modified TBR 200-2017 to perform interior and exterior alteration to convert the existing automobile repair to a convenience store and operate self-service all the described premises at or near corner of Belmore Avenue and Newbridge Road in North Belmore.
No, she went, but
Good morning, Supervisor Gillen, Senior Councilwoman Gooseby, honorable members of the Town Board. My name is Kevin O'Brien from O'Brien Law PC, here representing the applicant 135 F Realty with respect to this application. I also have here with me this morning Mr. Chris Tartaglia, a licensed professional engineer with High Point Engineering. He's one of the principals, and they're the design professionals which have the board, which have prepared all the applications, the information, and the documents that are before the board. And just before I get going, I do want to congratulate the board over here, being that my daughter and I are surfers on Long Island South Shore, and part of the reason that we all live here is for our beaches. So I commend you on your actions this morning. Thank you on a personal basis, and for my daughter as well. Now, with respect to the application, I'm probably going to jinx myself here a little bit in the sense that I'm going to say this is a relatively simple one because we're dealing with an existing gasoline service station. As you could see on the overhead, and just the mini history of this, it's operated this gasoline service station for over 60 years. Previously, we were included in the GSS zoning district, which, as the board is aware, is the proper zoning district for gasoline service stations within the town of Hempstead. And not too long ago, in connection with some of the what used to be the Nassau County Fire Marshal regulations, now the Department of Health regulations, we had removed and replaced the existing gasoline storage tanks and put new gasoline storage tanks in there, did a little island reconfiguration. We currently have 3 pump islands with a canopy over the pump island, which I believe is parallel to Newbridge, and parallel to Belmore. We have another single pump island over there with a canopy over that pump island. Why we're before the board, and we actually made some improvements to the building itself, and I might be a little bit biased, but if you go over there, I think the place looks fantastic. I mean, we do a fantastic job on the landscaping, the building itself. It looks really good, and we're proud of it. So we're here today, for really a minor modification, in as much as we were unable to secure any repair-oriented tenants in the building. So we have done the fascia of the building for the most part, but what we're looking to do is to essentially close the service bays of the building, turn the rest of the building into a convenience store. I guess we could probably maybe shift one of the overheads. And actually, I do have for the board, if you would like, some hand-ups by 11.5 by 17s, if that makes it more convenient. But we do have the overhead. And in the overhead, the dark yellow is the actual building itself. Sort of the beige portions of it are the pump islands that I just recently referred to, and the canopies over them. The white area is the underground storage tanks that have been recently replaced. And perhaps if you go to the next slide, we might have, let me see. Well, okay, that's the elevation of the building. And it almost looks like that now, because if you look to the right, okay, that portion of it has been done. But on the left-hand side, if you go to the site, currently you'll see 3 service bays. So what we're essentially looking to do is to convert it, I believe, if my recollection is correct, but Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. I think it's like 1,700 and change is the 17. What was that? 16. 1716 is the square footage of the building itself, and the building itself, similar to our other operations, it would contain the office area. It would have the restroom as well as the convenience store area itself. Other than that, I know I did see there was a memo, and it talked about, quote unquote, some open violations. And really the open violations really just deal with open building permits that we have, okay, as part of the work that we had just done. And now what we're trying to do is close all that sort of work out. We are mindful of our veterans, so we are intending to put an American flag. What we're looking to do, so as not to be disturbed, I think, Chris, if my recollection is correct, we were trying to put it on the north side of the site. Is that correct?
Yes, within the landscaped area along the northerly quadrant of the site.
And the other thing I would just mention, if you go to the site, I think the landscaping we've done is fantastic, but then again, that could be personal and subjective. I know we have some, I think what they refer to as elephant ears, which we think add some sort of depth and character to the, and we changed the landscaping out seasonally, but we are always open to suggestions in that area. And other than that, I think unless there are any questions of the board or questions of my professional engineer over here, I think that's pretty much what we're thinking. We think it's reasonable, necessary, and we're looking for your favorable discretion.
I did have a question at first until I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
And thank you for this, because that answered the question. There's, you know, these tractor trailers getting taller and taller.
Sure.
And I was just wondering if it would fit underneath your, and the overhang, and it definitely does. The pictures tell the story.
Yeah, it's
Million
usually,
words right
I think
there.
there's usually a minimum of 14 and a half feet clearance, which I think might even be a national thing. Chris, you could correct me if I'm wrong here. 14 is the... Yeah, or 14, so that this way, you know, for international trucking, even just the delivery truck, you know, would be able to make it under there.
No, ambulances are getting taller, fire
Yep.
trucks are getting bigger, so it's good you have the clearance. Thank you.
Yep. If there's nothing further, I would just ask for the board's favorable discretion.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor.
I do not have any other slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard? Okay. Just give them a minute to clear out.
Will the convenience store be open 24 hours?
First of all, could you just state your name and address for the record?
I'm sorry, Roy Gordon, Hauppauge, New York.
Okay, gentlemen, maybe if you could come back to just answer questions. You don't mind if they sit right next to you?
No, not at all.
Yes, it would be open 24 hours.
7 days a week?
7 days a week, yes.
Okay, that's the only question I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to be heard on this public hearing?
Okay, well, you can go first.
No problem. Mita J. Maraday. Again, with all due respect, and since we are coming one day after Veterans Day, which is always that monumental occasion for us to recognize and salute our veterans, those that made it home and those who didn't. For me, it's the next day, and the plight of the veterans that are still underserved continues to ring very true for me. So while the gesture with regard to the flag is definitely appreciated, I would be asking more so along the lines of your contracting and your job development aspects. Not only that, would there be accommodations possibly for service-disabled veterans in terms of handicap parking, maybe a special section in the facility for the area residents and area veterans to kind of come together? I mean, again, we need to kind of get more than the flags and the parades, because again, particularly out here, since we have the largest veteran population concentration with Nassau and Suffolk counties in New York State and Northeast region, we have to talk a little more than just, okay, we're going to have a flag, because they're dying like flies on a daily basis. So that would be my request in terms of some kind of output that focuses on creating some jobs, a supportive environment, and something that's going to be beneficial and long-term for those who can provide services with regard to the various activities with regard to your project. So if you can speak to that, I'd appreciate it.
Certainly. I'm glad you raised that. One hand, obviously, it's probably more of a social issue, probably more of a governmental issue, but in having a company and a principal of that company, probably I can't think of anybody more so. I know his son-in-law was a flight instructor at Miramar. He was in the Iraqi War, day one. I remember the celebration that they had, and it was incredible to see these people come back, you know, from that conflict. And if anybody could do something, it would be him. So I don't know exactly what we could do, but certainly we'll try.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I just want to go on record saying that when we ask that you display the flag, I was at a Marine Corps birthday party Saturday night with, it was a party. It wasn't a formal Marine Corps ball. It was a party with over 60 Marines, and the language, we could never even think of what there was kind of language we used. It was all drill instructor kind of language. But they appreciate seeing the American flag on all new buildings going up. So I'm not going to belittle it. I'm not going to in any way, shape, or form play it down. It is important to a lot of men and women that come home, and women that come home saying thank you. So you know what? It might be little, but it's
I never said it was, with all due respect, I never said it was little. I said we need to extend beyond that. I would never say, that having a flag in recognition of our veterans is little.
Just so you know, we're not going to eliminate us asking for that. Thank you.
I've never said that. And for the record, I've been the one that travels through the county and the town, it's particularly Nassau County, and made sure that they replace the damaged flags that fly over government facilities. So I don't even want it known or intimated that I would say anything that would jeopardize recognizing our veterans. I'm focusing on the ones who are losing their homes and living out on the street as we speak. That's my purpose. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to be heard on this public hearing?
Well, I don't know, I guess if everybody can hear. My name is Jay Blackman from East Meadow, and in listening to what you were describing, it sounded really very useful and very beautiful. Because of the emergence of the electric cars, I was just wondering if there was any accommodation for electric charging stations.
Not at this time. Interesting, you know, concept, but not at this time at this particular location. I know you see it at some public buildings. You see it at hotels. We'd have to see, but like I said, it's not part of these plans at this time.
Well, it's a personal thing because I just bought an electric car.
I know
I want a place to charge.
I know my brother's got one also, and when he goes on a trip somewhere, he has to plot out as to how far it can go, and then they've got some of these that can do it rapidly, and then there are the other ones that do it on a longer period of time. Yeah. You know, and then there are proprietary ones for Tesla, and then there are the general ones for everyone else. But it is moving in that direction. A lot of the hotels, you certainly see that.
I'm thinking in terms of the environment. There's more than anything else that we are turning more and more towards electric, and hydrogen fuel cars will be on the horizon. They're already in California, so it might be something. Well, come in the future.
We'll look into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anybody else who'd like to be heard on this public hearing? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing, and instead of reserving decision, I'd like to adopt this because you answered all the questions that we did have. So I make a motion to adopt this item.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman?
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Posito? Aye. Councilman Dunn? Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilman Musgrella?
Aye.
Bye-bye, gentlemen. All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the administrative calendar?
Yes, there are items number 7 through 54 on the administrative calendar. I also have 2 hand-up resolutions that are of an emergent nature. The first one is a resolution awarding purchase contract number 107-2019 for the yearly requirements for the transfer and/or acceptance of mattresses collected by the town of Hempstead. This will be resolution number 55 on the calendar. The second resolution is resolution amending resolution number 1640-2017, which authorized an agreement with the Xerox Corporation for the maintenance of the two HLC 128 printers for use in the Department of Information and Technology. This will be item number 56 on the calendar.
Okay, would any of the council members like to sever or amend any of the items on the administrative calendar?
Yes, I'd like to adjourn without dates 16, 36, and 49, and I'd like to adjourn number 17 to our next meeting, December 10th. Oh, did I miss one?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'd also like to amend item 32, so the points of contact reads Commissioner Rockamp and the supervisor's designee. And 33 to remove January 2nd, 2020 as a meeting date and to table items. So I did those right here.
Could you just repeat everything because it's hard to?
Sure. So I am, give me this one first. I move to postpone 17 to December 10th. Amend item 32 so the points of contact reads Commissioner Rockamp and the supervisor's designee, and to amend item 33 to remove January 2nd, 2020 as a meeting date, and table items 36, 49, and 16.
Just a point of inquiry to our council. The motion to adjourn, does that need to be separate from the motion to amend?
I didn't adjourn.
Well, he made it as one motion. You can entertain it the way he did for clarity purposes if you want it broken up. I'm sure Councilman.
Well, I think people would be entitled to speak on the amendment, but not on the postponement, correct?
That's correct.
So
should we do two separate motions here, Mr. Rah? Would that be cleaner?
He made it as one motion.
Okay, seconded.
Okay.
So there's no public comment.
I'm sorry, Councilman. I have 16, you're moving to adjourn 16 without a date. 17, you're moving to adjourn to December 10th.
36, 49.
36. 36 is without a date, or 36 is to a different day?
36, 49, 16 without date.
36.
And 33 to remove January 2nd, 2020 as a meeting date, which I believe is the inauguration.
I'm sorry, 40, 49, what else?
49, 16.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Just a moment.
Rich, can you give the list? Oh.
I just need to know what I'm voting on. Okay, so item 16 is about a contract with TV Eyes. Item 17 is establishing the list of designated newspapers, and we're moving over to the 10th. Item 32 relates to, and you're just amending that. Is that correct, Councilman? You're just amending item 32 to designate certain people?
Correct.
Okay.
No, 32.
32, yes. 33 is the, 33, you're amending it and you're removing the January 2nd meeting?
Yes.
And 36 is establishing a panel of engineering and planning firms. Commissioner, will that cause you any hardship if we adjourn that? Is the Commissioner here?
Which one is that?
It's item number 36.
Mr. Regina,
Will this cause
you
any
conferred
harm?
with the departments?
Have you Number 36, establishing a panel of engineering and planning firms pursuant to the town's procurement policy. I just want to make sure that we will not be jeopardizing anything going forward. The Commissioner is not here?
Not to my knowledge, Supervisor.
Yes, 2-minute or Begich, either one, if you would just come forward.
Yeah, no, it will have no disruption at all to my office.
Okay. Thank you, that's all I wanted to know. And 49, okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and now we have to vote on all these changes. Is that correct? Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Supervisor Gillen?
Okay, I think I'm okay with everything except I don't agree with item number 49, and I abstain on item number 16 because I'm unaware if we owe that contractor any money, and if we do, we have to pay them.
Councilman Blakeman?
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito?
Aye.
Councilman Dunn?
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye.
Mr. Rob, do we now have to move as amended? Okay. Now, can I have a motion to adopt the administrative calendar as amended?
One thing I want, am I going to get the other one in? What about the first one?
We don't have it. I don't know where it is.
Okay. I move that we adopt the administrative calendar along with the changes, the administrations, and the amendments.
Second.
Okay, I have some slips on the administrative calendar. First is Diane Madden.
I don't know how my chair always gets me like this.
Diane Madden, Hempstead. I believe I put a slip in for 40. Is that right? Yeah. Oh, thank you. So this goes back to, for me anyway, and about 5 other advocates, to some concerns we had back in 2017 for this contract. And I know that recently, I believe the supervisor had tabled the payment for this.
Yes, at a board meeting in September, we tabled this resolution about settling this case.
Okay, so what changed?
It's pending litigation, Ms. Madden. We can't comment.
Procedurally, Mr. Ra, actually, can this even be on the agenda if we have not yet had a vote to untable it? I think it was tabled without a date.
Excuse me, Supervisor?
I think this, as a matter of procedure, I think this was tabled without a date, so can it even be properly on the agenda if we did not vote to untable it, or do we need to do a vote to untable it?
Well, it was brought back by 2 council people. It was placed back on. Other than that, I'm not going to comment.
But procedurally, is it proper for it to be on the agenda if there was not a vote to untable it according to the rules?
I believe so.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
I just want to make sure it's done procedurally correct. Maybe we should, do you want to take a look at the rules? Mr. Regina?
I'm comfortable with my answer.
Okay.
So was there any I've been approached about this because we were very upset about this in 2017. What do they say when there's smoke, there's fire? And was there any fundraising involved for a political party with this law firm?
There's pending litigation concerning this matter. I'm not going to comment.
This was an $85,000 settlement. Is it correct that taxpayers are billed at least over $500,000 to settle this case?
I don't have that information available.
Is this the law firm that you hired to defend Stanley Lombardo's $15,000 settlement to keep from feeding cats on a landfill?
Off the top of my head, I'd probably say yes, it was, but I'm not sure because I don't have either file in front of me right now.
Camp Banker?
I don't know.
I'm told that there was billing from this law firm before they were even approved on that resolution. I am just trying to find out what the truth is. Because everything in the future with the new incoming supervisor hinges on what this board does and who advises them.
The counsel for this was Anthony Bisigle, right? Angelo Bisigle was the counsel for the town on this litigation. I don't know, was he the counsel for the Camp Banker as well? Yes, it appears he's the counsel for the Camp Banker litigation as well. And what other litigation did you ask about, Ms. Madden?
Stanley Lombardo.
I don't know about I'm not sure about that one.
Okay, so I've been told that this law firm was not even legally able to practice in New York when this resolution passed. Is that the truth? Is that the case?
Not to my knowledge.
There are so many lawsuits that have not been settled, including the lawsuits against the animal shelter and the director there and Santino, and yet this one's settled. It just, there's something doesn't make sense to me here. Why now?
I can't answer that question, Ms. Madden. I have to be careful because there is pending litigation, but there was a motion for sanctions because there was no settlement in this litigation, because we postponed the settlement, because I became aware of information that made me think it was not the best use of the taxpayers' money to settle this litigation, including reading a deposition transcript where the principal of Double Eagle admitted that he had no contract with the town of Hempstead, which seems to sum up the whole case. So it was not a prudent use of the taxpayers' money to settle this litigation. And other information came to me, so that's why we tabled it, but now it's being untabled. I don't know which members of the board. Joe Raw indicated 2 members of the town board untabled it. I don't think it should be untabled, and I don't think we should pay any settlement in this case.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about this, and I don't think the board, I think they need to think seriously about passing this, and I agree that it should be tabled in the best interest of the taxpayers, and in view of the fact that we have a new incoming supervisor, and everyone is watching very closely, and I pray to God he takes the same position that I did and ask for your resignation, Mr. Ra. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Madden. Barbara Epstein.
Barbara Epstein from Wantagh, New York. The League of Women Voters has a position related, I'm talking on number 31, yes, okay. The League of Voters has a position relating to affordable housing, and the concern when we deal with the zombie housing, it's important that we do as much as we can to make sure that these zombie properties can get back onto the tax rolls, and hopefully a lot of them can be renovated so that, or rebuilt with other not-for-profit organizations so that these can be made affordable homes to residents in the town. Because as we all know, there's a great need for more affordable housing to keep our young people here in Nassau County and the town of Hempstead. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Epstein.
Ms. Epstein, I agree with you, but we need to put them all over the whole town.
I totally agree with you.
Not just in the area where we live here.
I totally agree with throughout the town of
What's happening
Hempstead.
is we need to do it so that we don't get settled with all of the money that comes out of IDAs. Because our people, where I live in my district, the taxpayers paying a lot of money. I don't want to say the other word, but they're paying an awful lot of money because people are borrowing against to build them. And it's to the point now in some of my areas, there's no place to park your cars.
Thank you.
If everybody agrees to put them in all over, that'll be fine with me.
Mary Ellen Cray.
Good morning, Mary Ellen Cray, 436 Locust Avenue, Uniondale. Go to the front. On item number 19, which areas, please? And I'd like to draw attention to the fact that a survey could be made of the sidewalks at Echo Park.
Commissioner, if you would please.
Good morning, Supervisor, Town Board. Hi, Mary Ellen. This resolution has 96 properties to have sidewalks constructed or reconstructed. The residents will be given 30 days to make those changes, and then we will take the next steps after that. In Uniondale, we have these 4 items. Okay, I can get them for you, though.
Okay,
All right?
that
I'll
would
get them
be-
for you
that would
afterwards.
be good. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
There are some in Uniondale. Thank you. I'd like to note that the time was not stopped while Commissioner came forward. On item number 31, I'd like to point out that Uniondale Community Land Trust has just had the lottery on the home the zombie home that it had renovated, and we're in the process of seeing which people will qualify and how that goes. So we very much are in favor of that. So on the, I can't read my own notes. Oh, Nostrand Avenue. They've been working on Nostrand Avenue for a long, long time. So is this some new situation, or?
Which item are you talking about?
Oh, I'm sorry, 34.
34, okay.
Councilmember Supervisor.
Thank you.
Item 34 was an amending resolution. There was an error in the estimated quantity for one of the construction items. This is amending resolution to take care of that situation.
I see, so it's to pay more to the construction company, is that it?
It's to pay additional from quantity that was left off the original contract.
I see, thank you. On items number 42, 3, and 5, I'm wondering where in Uniondale these various situations are for the public hearings, just so we know where in Uniondale, please.
Thank you.
Morning, Supervisor, Town Board members.
Good morning.
Tom Reed, representing Traffic Control. These are all issues for the upcoming Town Board, and I can get the information for you.
Oh, you'll get it for me?
Yeah.
Okay, very good, because we'd like to know the specific location.
Thank you, Mr. Reed.
I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cray. Felix Procacci?
Felix Procacci. On the meeting dates, I recommended this before. I wish the town would email on the email list the dates when you're having a meeting, so people will always expect it. When you have unexpected meetings, may not read the paper, so they could get it in their email. Because I sign up for it, but we don't get that notification. On the list of designated newspapers, it was adjourned. I agree with the adjournment. There's one thing, I've brought this up several times in the past. The Franklin Square Bulletin, I believe, is still owned by a town employee. I believe his financial disclosure form should be available to the public. If he is still an employee, if he's doing business with the town, I believe that should be public information so people know that it's a town employee running it. I think it's only fair and just, to make sure there's no conflict of interest. Also on the code of ethics, the adjournment, I agree with that. We don't have an ethics board, a working ethics board. We really need a working ethics board, otherwise the ethics code is really useless. Also, as I've spoken about this before, that the procedure for how to file an ethics inquiry, it's not necessarily a complaint, should be put on the website, should be very conspicuous, so if people do question behavior of a town official, that they could see the guidelines. They'll decide after reading it that there was no wrongdoing, but it should be readily available so people could understand it. Just a very simple guide to it. On number 25, the transfer of funds, I know we postponed this. Is there anything else besides this that's holding up getting our audited financials done, or is this it?
Mr. Longobardo, are you here?
Morning, Supervisor, Town Board. The only thing we are waiting for on our audited financial statements right now would be from one or two of the outside districts waiting for their audited financial statements.
Which ones are those?
One is the water district in Western Hempstead, and I'd have to check.
West Hempstead Water District?
Okay.
And you don't know the other one?
I'm not sure of the other one.
Okay.
They may have already submitted theirs, so.
Okay. And on number 28, the litigation with Lisa Whitaker, what is that about? I couldn't find, I looked up the code on, Nassau Supreme Court. I couldn't find that case there. Can someone tell me what that case is about? It should be public record.
The matter is in litigation, and therefore I will not comment on the matter.
But I should be able to get a copy of the casework. I couldn't find that on.
Mr. Ra, can you just, with respect to that portion of the litigation that is already in the public domain, just tell Mr. Felix Procacci what the case is about?
But I cannot, Councilman, because it is not in the public domain right now.
There isn't a complaint file that's in the clerk's office?
That is correct. There is not a complaint file.
You gave a complaint number on the resolution, and I looked at that complaint number, and I couldn't find
I'm not going to comment on if the board like to go to executive session, I'll tell you what's going on, but I can't tell you.
I think we should go into executive session to discuss this.
Okay.
So we'll just take a short break to go into executive session.
Okay.
Hopefully 10 minutes.